February is on at Subway restaurants, 'cause all month long, any regular footlong is a $5 footlong, like the Taste-Terrific Italian BMT and the Melt-Delicious Steak and Cheese, all starting at 7 a.m. Hurry in for February. Subway, eat fresh.
The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report, cranking out a ton of NBA podcasts here from Orlando, Florida. As always, my buddy Joe House with us. And later on, we have Chris Mullin, NBA Hall of Famer. But right now, 7 rings.
What's up, fellas?
Robert Horry, how are you?
Yeah, no,
now,
great, man.
was it Big Shot Rob or Big Shot Bob? What did you didn't like one of those?
I didn't really like Bob. My mom didn't like Bob. I don't mind it. My
So you're
mom.
Big Shot Rob.
I did that, but it doesn't matter. You can call me either or, because I think
Robert
both of
Horry.
them are good.
Hey, I don't like that Chauncey Billups took the Mr. Big Shot because you were Big Shot Rob. I feel like there was some nickname ownership issues there.
Well, you know, it all goes in cycle. You know, Shaq was Superman. Dwight
That's
Howard
Dwight
was
Howard, yeah,
Superman. So I guess he's Mr. Big Shot. But they never call me Mr. They just call me Big Shot Bob.
Right.
So I think
Big
that,
Shot.
that means he's got more respect than me, huh? Because they call him Mr.
Well, you had 7 times as many rings as
Shaq's still mad about Superman.
He should be.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he be mad about it? You
Well-
can't steal somebody's nickname.
Well, it ain't his to steal in the first place. He wasn't Superman. Clark Kent's Superman.
First thing I wanted to ask you, I'm sure you've been asked this, but you were traded and then it got rescinded, and then you won titles with Houston.
Right.
And now we're in a similar situation here with Pau Gasol and the guys on Houston and all that stuff. Like, at what point do you just say, screw it, I'm here, this is my team? Like, do you hold a grudge? Like, how did you deal with that over the next year?
Well, for me personally, I didn't hold a grudge because NBA is business. It's big business. And when your name is not talked about in trades, that's when you should fear that the career is about to end. And for as Paul getting traded and not being traded, he should just come out and say, hey, I'm a professional athlete. I get paid to do something many people wish they could do. And just go out and play basketball and not worry about anything. I think people let emotions get involved so many times when your name has been talked about in trades. Like Lamar, he let his emotions get involved and got talked out of L.A. So I just think he should just go out and play basketball because he didn't complain when his names would be in trade talks when he was in Memphis.
Yeah. So the trade falls through is for, I think, to Detroit for Sean Elliott.
For Sean Elliott.
You think you're going? Did you get on a plane and go to Detroit? Like, how did that work?
We were in Detroit, suited and booted. We went to shoot around that morning. We was walking on the court, and they were like, whoa. Sean hasn't passed his physical yet. So Matt Bullock sat behind the bench. I sat up in the owner's box and just watched it because I wanted to always watch a game as a fan because growing up in Alabama, we didn't have an NBA team. So I said, let me sit up in the stands and watch a game. So I sat up in the stands, and the next morning, it was like, oh, trade fell through, get home. So we got on the plane and went back to Houston.
And then they were like, hey,
Welcome
we still
back.
want you in the Rockets.
Yeah, but the funny thing about that whole thing is I got traded for not shooting the basketball. So when I got back, I shot the heck out of
you're
the ball.
not shooting now.
I said, oh, y'all going to trade me this time. Y'all going to trade me for shooting too much, man.
Did they tell you that before or after?
Well, you, as a player, you hear rumors and you hear the rumblings, and they saying why you getting traded.
Yeah.
So that was the one reason because, and I played with Dream, Otisthorpe, Kenny Smith, and Vernon. You kind of feel like you're the low man on the totem pole. You want to get those guys the ball. So that was my whole thing. Give them the ball. But it was taken away from my game. So after that, I just started shooting the rock.
Yeah.
So I have this thing I write about sometimes called the irrational confidence guys. The guys like Jason Terry's a good example in the finals last year. He's just like, he gets hot. He thinks he's the best guy on the floor. And it's like you need at least one guy like that to compete. Those Rockets team had like 4 or 5 guys like that. You had Kenny, Vernon Maxwell was the all-time irrational confidence guy ever. Like he actually thought he was as good as Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like he really actually did.
But you know the thing about Vernon is probably the best athlete I ever played with. This
Really?
guy was incredible.
Better than Hakeem?
fastest all outdoors. You know, he could probably go to bed at 5 in the morning, play a 9 a.m. game, and just go all out.
And by the way, probably did.
But he was an incredible athlete. Nobody, if you play with Vernon, you know, out of everybody you play with, you know that guy's got your back. Because no matter if you're wrong, he's going to be wrong with you. He was the ultimate teammate as far as...
Ultimate teammate?
Yes, as far as being behind you. You know, you got sometimes where something go down, you see guys mosey down there and try to get in a scuffle. You go to the scuffle happens, Vernon's going to be by your side. And,
right.
You know, you respect a guy like that because he's your teammate, he's your family, he's going to go to war. I won't say war because, you know, something, but he's going to play games with you.
That sounds like Steven Jackson.
Absolutely.
That's how he's always described. The ultimate teammate. He's got your back. He'll go to war with you.
Exactly.
All that stuff.
And
you also had Sam Cassell too.
Yeah.
Another irrational confidence guy. Maybe another starting 5 all irrational confidence guy.
Sam, when he came into the league, it was Mr. Confidence. You know, that's what his name should be, Mr. Confidence. He came in shooting the ball, had this big ego about himself, which is a good thing in a lot of cases, and he just went out and balled. And once he won that first championship in his first year, you should see he's just like, oh, I can play basketball. I'm great.
Yeah.
And he just got better and better and better. You know, he's just a great athlete.
You feel like, you know, now that it's been almost 20 years, people seem to think those 2 Rocket titles, they're like, yeah, but MJ wasn't there. Yeah. How good do you feel like those teams were?
I felt like the team was really good because if you look at all the teams that have won championships and you take a team and you look at how many all-stars they have on that team, we had 1 all-star and Dream on that team, but the most important thing about those teams is we played great together.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. We played great. You know, disrespect to Chicago and MJ. I know MJ is probably the best basketball of all time, but they had no answer for Dream. And we had Vernon that could be there and try to slow down, not stop, slow down MJ. Right. But I think we would have gave them a great run for them. I know we would have did better than Charles did that one time.
Was the Drexler team better or was the first team better?
It's apples and oranges. It's so totally different because that first team we had Vernon. The second team we didn't have Vernon. We had Clyde. And we were the first team to start the small ball because then we went to me at the power forward. And I don't think Otis could have handled me as small forward because I was pulling from the inside, from the paint. So it's hard to say, but both teams were really good. And I think that second team, we got rolling at the right time, but the other team was just good all year.
Hakeem, now historically underrated.
It's amazing how underrated he is. He, to me, and I might be a little biased because I played with the best center of all time. Because, one, he wasn't 7 feet tall. He's 6'11". Yeah. He's an all-time shot blocker. And out of every big man that's ever played the game, he could shoot free throws. Yeah. He could shoot from the outside. He could guard guards. He's the best to me. And you go back and you look at the things he used to do on the court. Let's ask David Robinson. He'll tell you. Dream was the best. You know, no disrespect to all those other guys. You know, I know a lot of times people are measured by wins and championships like Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, but Dream was just flat out the best to me. But that's just my opinion.
Tell me about the game. I think it was 95, game 2. Robinson's getting the MVP before the game. And Dream's kind of sitting there. Hey, what did he put up, like the 42-20 or something on Dave Robinson? Yeah. He killed him that series.
And it was, the thing about then, you know, we used to play guys in your conference 5 times. San Antonio owned us. They was 5-0 against us. And so we were sitting there, and we just came from Phoenix, from beating them, and first game, Dream looks down there. Dream never says anything. That's my trophy. How they gonna disrespect me like that and give him my trophy? And
he said that to all you guys?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. We all looked at Dream like, yeah, we about to roll tonight. And Dream, those moves Dream put on David, we had never seen before. It's like he had been in a lab somewhere working on it secretly and just came out doing. We were actually, you know how guys, when you see something go, ooh, we were actually on the court going, ooh, get him, Dream. You know, it was just the things he did in that series was just amazing. But he doesn't get credit for being as good as he is.
So you played with Shaq in his prime. Mm-hmm. You were dunking in 05, so tail end of his apex, but it's still in his prime. Mm-hmm. And then Hakeem. And you think Hakeem was the best of the 3?
He was the best. You know, no.
Interesting.
Because Dream could bring you a little power with his game.
Yeah.
But if you didn't have power, he would use power against you. If you had power, he would use finesse against you. He came with whatever that he could beat you with. You know, Shaq was just straight power.
Yep.
You know, Tim has a little bit of power, but not that much. But he's mostly finesse if you watch Tim. And so that's why I picked him over those two guys.
Yeah.
And with Tim and Shaq, I had to make them tie for second.
Tim, best teammate?
You know, people never talk about Shaq being a good teammate. Shaq was a great teammate.
Really? Okay.
Shaq.
I've heard mixed reports
you never heard of
on
a guy
this.
named Travis Knight?
Yes.
Shaq got Travis Knight paid.
$20 million from the Celtics.
From just,
you don't have to tell me. It's my team.
Passing to Travis, getting dunks, because if you are a smart player and you know how to play off a big who can pass, it's going to make you better. I made a living at that. And he got Travis Knight paid because Travis was cut and he would find him. And the thing about Shaq is, and most great players, Shaq and Tim are both in this similar, because if we're losing, I want the ball to try to take our team to the top. If we're winning and we're rolling, I'm getting assists, I'm fine. But don't go out there and shoot 30 jumpers. You're not making a jumper when you need to go inside, because there's only nobody that can stop me on the inside. Right. And I think that's how those guys are. You know, Tim is a great teammate too. All he cared about winning. Shaq doesn't get talked about in that sense. Is all he cared about winning. I think that rift between him and Kobe got blown out way out of proportion, because if they were in, say, you know, Atlanta, it wouldn't have got blown up. Because of the Lakers, it got blown out way out of proportion to me.
Well, and also, like, I think people who don't play basketball don't totally understand, like, you don't have to be best friends to play basketball. I mean, it did seem like that last year Shaq and Kobe had fell out of control, but...
Well, that was because I wasn't there to control all that.
When did you leave, 02 or 03?
I loved the year Detroit won the championship.
Oh, yeah, you were gone.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You have to have certain guys who don't mind being the bad guy, because most athletes know this guy is a great teammate, but he's going to be Switzerland. He's going to keep the peace here. He's going to be this person who knows all he wants to do is win. He might not get the accolades. He might not get the stardom, the commercials, but the ultimate goal is he wants to win. And that's how myself was, Brian Shaw was, and Rick Fox. We kind of kept everything at bay, keeping things fun, keeping things interesting, but yet competing every day to try to make the team better.
So at what point in your career did you realize, like, this is my lane? I'm the guy who everybody loves to play with. I'm going to step up big when it matters. I'm not going to care about my stats. I'm going to do all the little stuff, and I could have a 15-year career doing this.
You know, I think it came apparent to me back when I got in L.A. Because when I got traded to L.A., we had all those all-stars, Kobe, Eddie, Nick, and we had too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so I think then it's like, hey, what can you do to, you know, I hate to say this, but kind of take a back seat. You don't ever want to take the back seat, but sometimes in the best interest of a team, you have to. And so you take a back seat and you try to be that glue that holds everything together, that one guy that guys respect. First, you got to get the respect of the guys. And I think a lot of myself, I had it because I came to practice every day and practice hard. I came in the season in shape, so and that's one of the things the guys don't do now. You don't come into the season in shape. So I came in shape and ready to play. And I think with me being that ultimate professional, those guys respected that and listened to what I had to say.
Well, you showed up with rings, too.
that always helps,
right?
Yeah, that helps a lot. That earns a lot of respect.
I did a whole mailbag thing once in my column about whose career would you have rather had, Robert Horry's career or Karl Malone's career. What would you have rather had?
Big shot. No doubt. Hands down. That quick.
I hate when people do that to me. Because you look at what Karl Malone did, man. He's a great athlete. He's a great basketball player. But most important, he's a great person. You know, you never heard about him getting in trouble. He just want to play basketball, ride his Harley, you know, ride his 18-wheelers. You know, he's just a good guy. For me, I'd have took his career because he had a great career. You know, his MVP and played in, you know.
Probably made a little more money.
I think that's a good humble answer.
It's a good humble answer.
It comes down to 7. You have to have 7 fingers for 7 rings.
Does it all, like, I mean, you were in so many big games for a variety of reasons, but, like, does it all, like, blend in together, like, when you think about it, or do some jump out?
It's a lot of them that jump out.
Yeah?
It's, for instance, the one that jumps out the most is Game 5 in Detroit. And because the first half, no
for the
points.
Spurs.
Yeah, for the Spurs.
You were like an NBA Jam character. You're just like this flame firing out of your ears.
And you dream about moments like that.
Yeah.
You know, first half, no points. Second half, you come out and set all right kind of records. And that's all you ever want to do as an athlete, to go out and perform well for your team.
On a big stage.
Victory,
Yeah.
and get the victory. You know, you have plenty of times where you go out and you score a lot of points and you lose a game, and those mean nothing to me. And to go out on a stage like that and win a pivotal game where we need it, and to be able to step up and help my team win, you know, that's like my ultimate performance.
And plus, that was a tough series for Duncan. I mean, he's going against Wallace and Wallace every game, and they're just throwing everything at him.
You know, and that's, you know, people always ask me what player I hated guarding the most. It was Rasheed Wallace. He was good. You know, even everybody let his antics take away from how good of a player he was. He was good. Man, he was long. You couldn't block his shot. Think about it. How many times have you seen him get his shot blocked?
Never.
Never, like he shot the ball like Cartwright from up here. Yeah. He could shoot the three. He could put it on the floor. He was just a great athlete, man. But that was the hardest guy I ever had to guard, and I hated guarding him.
It seemed like he settled into a thing where it was almost like when he wanted to be, he could get there.
Yes.
But he didn't do it all the time. But he had this cool. Everybody's like, well, if he wanted to, he could be that guy all the time. But he kind of had it the best of both worlds, because he didn't have the pressure of having to do it all the time.
Exactly.
But when he wanted to, he was like, hey, he could shoot threes, he could go down low, he could do all this stuff.
I want to ask about that Game 5 real quick, because for no points in the first half, in the second half, what happened? What'd you catch? What'd you feel?
Joe House is a fellow streak shooter, so he wants to know.
That's what I want to hear.
It's, for me, the first half, I really didn't get any shots.
Okay.
Yeah.
And coming off the bench and not having plays run for you is the most difficult thing. If you go back and look at that tape, every shot I took was a bad shot, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I forced every one of them. But the thing is, you get what I call, for me, you get the bumps. The goosebumps. When you get the bumps and you can feel it, it's like, I got the bumps, give me the ball. And you get that energy that's going through, and you get that, it's almost like the basket spreads, your confidence spreads, and it's just, man, let me get it and fire it up there, you know, put it in the air. And once I made that first one, I was like, okay, let me try another one. And once you make that second or third, it's like, oh, it's on.
Oh, so it's that quick, the second or third?
It's that quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe House gets a lot of false bumps. He thinks he has the bumps, but he doesn't actually. He's shooting and I'm like, Joe, you don't have the bumps. Stop shooting.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have had the bumps.
Takes 11.
How about Popovich versus Jackson?
Oh, man, that's a debate that's going to go down for years, because
you had both of them in their peaks.
Them. Yeah. But I think Pop had less to work with than Phil. If you go back and look at all the teams Phil had coached, he had some beasts of some teams,
right.
You know, from the Chicago teams to the Laker teams, and you look at Pop, it's okay, he had to pick these foreign guys and make them play well together. You know, it's hard to play with foreign guys. I don't know if you ever played with them, but you coming down the court, you got a French guy over here, you got an Argentine guy over here, and these guys are saying stuff, and you got to realize in the heat of battle, their native tongue comes out. I'm like, dude, I don't speak Spanish. Dude, I don't speak French. What you talking about? So that's why you ever notice the Spurs have a lot of hand motions, just so you don't have to worry about the language barrier. But it's hard to compare those guys, because the one thing they have in common is they both preach defense. And I think Pop preached a little bit more than Phil, but they were also great people persons. Yeah. And they know how to make people understand that you put the team first, all the other things aside, and you go out and play basketball, because the main thing as a basketball player, you never want to let your teammates down. And that's why all the teams I played with won championship, because you love your teammates and you never want to let them down.
And it seems like I love seeing the Spurs in person, because they're so close.
Yeah.
And everybody's putting arms around each other and they're talking the whole time. And that's one of the reasons, like, I just love seeing the NBA in person or watching on TV, because that's the stuff you pick up. Yeah. In the huddle, are people talking to each other? Or are they just sitting there like this? Like, are people watching the Jumbotron? Are people talking during foul shots?
In the stands like, ooh, that was a cute girl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you'll see it. And even during foul shots, like, you know, they'll be like, and this is why the Clippers, I'm a Clippers season ticket holder, They got Chris Paul this year. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
They got Chris Paul this year, and all of a sudden now guys are talking to him a lot of this, and you know, and you can see it when it's happening.
That's the one thing that every championship team, you can hear them on the court. defensively they're talking. They're like, help, help, help. Over here. You can see guys. And that's one of the reasons that I love for guys to go to college. Because you learn that in college. A lot of times in high school, the coach says, oh, this is my star. Do your thing. You're going to overcompensate for everything because you're athletic and you're better than everybody else. And when you get to college, you learn how to play well with others. You learn how to talk to each other. You learn the game of basketball. And that's why so many teams that win championship got those guys who know how to communicate with each other. Because if there's no communication, there's no rings. And you can't get the rings without communication.
That's trouble for your favorite team, the Washington Wizards. Not a lot of college grads on the Wiz.
It's a work in progress, that Washington team.
It's huge.
Did you do 4 years in college?
I did 4 years. Yes.
All right, so you went to Alabama. Explain this to me. As I said, I'm a Clipper season ticket holder. Mo Williams.
Right.
I'm sure you're familiar with his work. Are you friendly with him?
Yeah.
As
he
an
wore
Alabama
number 25. In Alabama. And everybody used to look at him like, why are you wearing 25?
He wears it now.
Yeah.
His Twitter handle, I think, is Mogatti25. Interesting guy.
Yeah,
he's a little moody.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's happy, and other times he's gonna. If the Clippers do anything, I feel like he's gonna, as we talked about earlier, the irrational confidence guy. He's the irrational confidence guy for the Clippers.
Yes, he is.
And what's weird, heading toward the playoffs, I feel like he's gonna determine their fate. As weird as it sounds, he's gonna swing games one way or the other in the playoffs. Yes. So could you start mentoring him, please? You live in Los Angeles, right? Can you start going out to break? Oh, you don't live in Los Angeles.
I live in Houston.
LA live in Houston?
Yeah, LA's too expensive for me.
Oh. Can you take Mo under your wing, please? I'm begging you.
The thing about players like Mo is they have a huge confidence in their game. They feel like every shot's going to go in.
Yeah.
And it's up to, I think Chris Paul is a great quarterback for that team. I think he could go to him and say, hey, this is what's going on, let's do this. And that's why I think every team should have a veteran player on their team. Because a lot of times you look at all these teams and they don't really have that veteran guy that could sit there and say, hey, this is this. Even if he's not on the team, on the roster, at least have him as an assistant coach or some kind of specialist.
Yeah.
And because now you look at some teams and they got, this guy never played basketball. Who the heck is this guy? And guys, you respect, if Michael Jordan is sitting on that bench, I know he's an owner now, but if he's sitting on that bench and this guy went to battle in games and won games, and say, hey, dude, you got to do this and this. You're going to listen to him more than a guy who's never played basketball before. You're going to look at him like, what the hell he talking about? He don't know what he's talking about. He never played basketball before.
It's like what Kevin Love said to us yesterday. Yeah. He was saying how important Brad Miller was. Yeah. Just having this guy who used to be a big man who's at the end of his career, who can give him advice.
And that's the thing now with teams, they don't keep those around. They don't keep those guys around to talk to these young guys. That's why you have a lot of knuckleheads in the game, because you don't have that vet guy be like, slap him around, say, don't do that. Right. This is how it goes. This is how the ship should be righted. And it's just, okay, out with the old, in with the new.
So why aren't you like the number one assistant for a team? Like if I was a coach, I would be like, I think I want Big Shot Rob as my lead assistant.
That's a good question. I'm trying to figure that out myself. I can't get a job interview with anybody.
Is that true?
Anything. Yeah.
We got to work on that.
It's difficult, man.
I also think you're good on TV. This is one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast. I saw you after like a Laker game or something. I was like, Big Shot's good. Like why wouldn't he have a gig? Like it does seem like you should be doing
I think
something.
People are scared to touch me.
Because of all the rings?
I don't know what it is. It's something about, I don't want him to come in here thinking, because I'm the most easygoing guy ever. I don't have an ego. I never even wear my rings. I never even pull them out to show people. It's just because I always wanted to win. Because if you look at rings, you're going to be satisfied. And I was never satisfied. All I want to do was win.
Yeah.
And I figured at the end of the day, there's always going to be that question that everybody wants to throw up in my face. Do you think you're going to be in the Hall of Fame? But I said, at the end of the day, I got 7 rings, and that's, to me, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it, is more important than the Hall of Fame, because I did things with my teammates. Hall of Fame is an individual thing, and I've never been an individual person. I always been team-oriented, so 7 rings is good enough for me.
I wrote a basketball book, and I ranked the 100 players. I put you in like you were in like the high 70s, I think.
Thank you.
I just feel like I would rather have the skills you had because that's how you win.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be the guy who scores 25, 15. You need that glue guy, as
The
you
ultimate
said.
glue guy.
And the glue guy thing is so underrated with the
I
NBA.
always tell them I don't make the product, I make the product better.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Horry, a pleasure. Hopefully, I don't know. I think you should have some sort of thing
Yeah,
where
at
you're
least an
in
interview.
our lives.
Come on.
I'm trying
Thanks
to
for
get
coming.
something, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. The BS Report continues from Orlando. Joe House with us, and Hall of Famer Chris Mullin. Must be nice to have the Hall of Famer in front of the Chris Mullin.
It is very nice. A little strange, but much appreciated.
Does that become part of your name? Like you write that on checks? So
On weekends like this, for sure.
At least autographs, right? HOF.
They do.
Oh, that's
yeah.
good. The HOF Chris Mullin.
People ask for that addition to the autograph.
What was the reaction from people when you found out? Just BlackBerry blowing up, whole thing?
Yeah, you know, I was a finalist for a few years.
Yeah.
I had been through that process. But when it finally came, it was a great feeling. But leading up to it, I felt honored to be in that finalist group. I mean, there's so many great players, you know, a lot like All-Star games that get left off for whatever reason. There's a process that you have to go through. But when it finally was announced, it was a great feeling. And it just brings you back to all the people that helped you along the way.
Yeah.
Your family, coaches, teammates. And that's who you get to celebrate with.
Yeah. How would you compare? I feel like when you were peaking with the TMC teams, the NBA talent was just such a great time for talent because they hadn't really overexpanded yet, and it was just also just a lot of great guys. Like your generation, the like 5 straight draft class is just pumping out like top 50 guys. Now it seems like we're in another talent boom. I feel like that even though there's 30 teams, I feel like the league has as much talent as it's had since that time. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the league is loaded.
Feels that way, right?
It really does. And, you know, for a little while there, when I came out of college, the norm was to stay in school for 4 years. So you got a little more finished product. You could really scout a little bit better. You know, when these kids started coming out of high school, there was a few exceptions, Kobe and Kevin Garnett, a few guys that made that transition. There was also a bunch of guys that couldn't figure it out. But it seems now, even the kids that are going to school for 1 year, even that 1 year has helped them, and they're getting 3-4 years under their belt, and they're still only 24, 25 years old. And now you're getting guys who are clearly established NBA stars, and you look up those guys who'd usually be 26, 27, they're 23 years old. And, you know, you look at Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook.
They're like babies still.
And they're locked up with that team.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's great for organizations as well. Those two guys are locked up on long-term deals, so that the whole community can really get behind that team, which was missing, had been missing, just because of free agency, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it just was a switch for the league where guys were bouncing around. You know, Larry, Bird, Magic Johnson, they were staples in their organizations. It would be nice maybe to get back to that, where those, and I think the collective bargaining agreement addressed a bit of that, where you keep your stars.
Yep.
It's good for the organization, of course. It's good for the community, and it's good for the fans to get attached.
Yeah,
You agree
we're
with that?
missing that, absolutely. And I think it's going to be a pretty important part of this new agreement.
I hope that's how it plays out. I want to see it play out that way. I mean, I guess Dwight will be a nice test case for it.
Well, I don't think the rules are going to restrict free agency. You know, if you want to leave, you're going to be able to leave. You're going to have to take a little hit maybe here and there.
Yeah.
But if that's what you really want to do, you're going to be able to do it. But on the other hand, I think it gives the organizations a chance where if the guys feel treated the right way and they feel like you guys are progressing and all those things that you hear players, they list the things they want to stay or why they're leaving, if you set that up, I think it gives you a better chance.
It's a model for young guys. You can keep the young guys, especially. I mean, guys that Howard's on his second contract now.
Things went haywire in the late 90s, just with the contract, like the size of the contracts, the amount of money guys were just making when they were like 21, 22. Like, just, I mean, you were there as the game really kind of went to a weird place there in the late 90s. You were the old veteran at that point. But, I mean, I look back at some of those guys like Derek Coleman, Kenny Anderson, Glenn Robinson. Like, these are guys that I feel like if they had come up now would have had so much better careers. Like, they were just, even C-Webb, just get so much money and you have all this power. You can get coaches fired, and it really seems like it kind of ruined that generation to some degree. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, almost a reflection of our society.
Yeah.
Where it's such a quick fix. You want everything right away. And that's not always the best long term. You might be able to grab something and take everything off the table, but then what are you left with? You know, how do you develop as into a player, into a person? And you know, when you get all that right away, where do you go? So I think it was also a sign of, you know, the game had grown globally. The money was there,
Yeah.
so it was getting divvied up. But now I think David Stern's done a wonderful job kind of reeling it back in, and that process will happen again. I think it also gives, you know, the organizations a little bit more time to be around those guys, because you're not just signing the talent, because sometimes the talent's easy to see, how it fits, and what that guy's personality's like, and how he's going to fit into your plans. So I think this next agreement is going to be good. You can't cover everything, and you shouldn't. You want free agents. You want guys to be able to move around. You have to have that. That's what Oscar Robertson fought for.
Right.
So, but I think we're seeing, like you said, Dwight Howard be, you know, I think that's a unique situation come up. A guy of that stature.
Yeah.
But I guess I'd point to OKC, where teams doing well, they're growing. You know, Kevin Durant signs quietly, without an option, right? Without a playing option.
True. 5-year.
Russell Westbrook follows the same suit, no option. To me, that was pretty interesting in itself. You know, because guys sign those long-term deals and they got that player option after 3 years.
Yeah.
The fact that they didn't do it was, to me, really refreshing.
Do you think it's funny that these guys talk about themselves as brands? Well, it might be better for my brand if I go to Los Angeles. I don't know if my brand can survive here in Orlando or wherever. Like, obviously that was not what your generation was thinking about.
There was like 3 brands. Larry, Magic, and Michael.
And then everybody else tried to fit in.
Yeah, and took the scraps.
Yeah.
You know, sneak into a Nike commercial with Michael, you know, maybe getting a McDonald's commercial with Larry, stuff like that. But another change, it's growth. That's what it is. And you know, if that's what an individual wants to pursue, I don't see anything wrong with it, because a lot of times that could be something for later in their career, right? They develop a brand and something they can walk into post-career.
You had a brand. You were a flat top guy. Flat top, good shooter guy.
Yeah, that got me far.
Did they get you commercials?
HOF Chris Mullin.
I know, it was a good brand.
It got you where you needed to get.
But I think it's an individual thing, because you know, when I was playing, my offseason, I'd rather just get away a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and some guys like to, you know, be out there and do commercials and things like that. That's cool. I think it's an individual thing. I would say this, though. I'm not quite sure changing markets is as important as it once was, because of social media.
Yeah.
If you have a hard time being...
Is it hurt Kevin Durant? Yeah. Oklahoma City, is it hurting Kevin Durant anyway? He's making
now
commercials.
It's really lifestyle, right? It's what states have taxes, and it's lifestyle.
Correct. So I'm saying maybe
weather and taxes.
I know a lot of New Yorkers move to Florida.
Yep.
To get away, right? So, but I don't think we have a hard time finding out if someone makes a mistake in a quote. It gets out there pretty quick. So I think you can get it out there. But that, you know, again, I think it's individual taste.
So we have the Olympics coming up. One of the reasons I want to have you on. This 2012 Olympic team is really going to be loaded. And what's interesting is that if you look at the starting 5 right now, probably going to be Rose, Kobe, LeBron, Durant, Howard. Could conceivably also be the first team All-NBA this season. You know, everybody thinks the Dream Team was the best team ever, but at that point, Magic hadn't played for a year. You know, he had taken that whole season off. Bird was could barely walk at that point. You had Leitner was on it. It was a rookie, basically. Robinson and Ewing, not quite what they were kind of at the beginning of their primes, but not totally there. I think same thing for Malone. Barkley and Jordan were in their primes, and Pippen was, and you were.
John was hurt. Stockton was hurt.
You look at this Dream Team we're going to have now, not Dream Team, Olympic team. You got those 5. You got Chris Paul. You have Carmelo, I assume, is going to be on. Kevin Love.
D-Wade.
D-Wade, I feel like they'd be favored in a series. I hate to say it. I feel like they're 2-1 favorites.
Could make us that could be a nightmare, that matchup. That could be scary.
The problem is because Bird was, everybody's, Bird and Magic. It's like, well, you're not getting, that wasn't the right Bird. You're getting Bird who was about to retire because he couldn't walk.
No, that team you just mentioned, unbelievable. And you talk about the league being stockpiled with talent.
Yeah.
All those guys are franchise. They carry franchise. Never mind being all-stars. Each one of those guys can go to a franchise and bring their team to the playoffs, probably deep into the playoffs by himself. And look at their ages. They're in the primes of their careers. Yeah. So that was always the thing when Miami got together. The great talent, but the time, their ages is what really takes you back, because they're going to play five years together in the primes of their careers. Yeah. And those guys there, I mean, wow.
So defensively, your point guards are Magic and Stockton. Magic, again, has not played for a year, and at that point was a lot bigger and was somebody who, for the last 4 or 5 years of his career, had really had trouble stopping quick point guards. Tim Hardaway, your old teammate. That was like that famous game where, what did you have, like 47 and Magic had 49 or whatever? It was just like neither team could stop the other. But I think the Rose and then Chris Paul against the 92 Dream Team, I don't know what you do defensively. I guess Stockton would have to, but even Stockton wasn't that good defensively. Maybe you put Pippen on the point guards?
You got me cornered, man.
I'm trying to figure this out.
I got no defense and no defense. I didn't play defense. I got no defense for you.
Well, here's your defense. You had Jordan. He's the best player of all time. He's in the peak of his career, and there's no way he's going to lose.
Okay. He's going to be fine.
Right.
The rest of us, we have to find a favorable matchup.
Crunch time you play, I feel like it's Jordan and Pippen. I think you're playing in crunch time.
Clyde Drexler.
Clyde was like, he was kind of ruined by the finals, though, right?
No, I wouldn't say that, but
I thought mentally he was kind of like a little checked out.
Physically, he'd have to match up with one of those guys, I think.
So you're being diplomatic. I think you're playing crunch time over Drexler.
You name those guys. I mean, they're incredible. They're all-time. They're all Hall of Famers. They're all-time guys. The thing that pops in my head was about, what was it? Maybe 6 before Jerry Colangelo took over. They were having guys. It was a hard time to get these guys to commit to play. That's the beautiful thing of this. Yeah. When you rattle off those names, how Jerry Colangelo and Coach K has flipped. Because in '92. They called whatever amount of guys, and from what I was told, yes, I'm in, and then boom, down the line. Yeah. So they made the next call. Well, Magic and Larry said, yes, are you in? Yes. Total commitment. We got away from that. It was almost, it wasn't a privilege for guys to play. It was like you said, can I fit in my schedule? I've got my brand. Yeah, my brand is. But that's totally flipped the other way again. You got Kobe. All the top guys, LeBron, D-Wade, all those guys committing to USA basketball, and that's the beauty of it there to me.
So House, I think Pippen guards the Rose-Paul combo.
Okay.
They throw Jordan, obviously, he does this thing against Wade and Kobe.
Yeah. That would be beautiful to watch.
I think they use Mullin and Drexler on. That would be tough, because then now LeBron's in there. LeBron and Durant.
That's what I'm saying. It's ugly.
Durant had like 5 inches on you.
You just named those names. I didn't go philosophically or strategically. I just knew it was a problem. Somewhere out there's a problem.
Barkley, though.
These guys could go big, though. I mean, that's
the thing. Maybe you go Barkley small forward with Robinson.
Yeah.
And Ewing.
Right.
Maybe you go Twin Towers with Robinson and Ewing.
That's what I'm saying.
And we go to a little bit of a aggressive zone.
I think zone is the only answer for sure.
Well, then you could play Magic with that then.
Magic, David Robinson, Patrick.
Yeah.
And you still have Jordan. So I think
we'll be using the internet. We'll be playing international rules. They'll be playing the NBA rules.
Well, that's another thing is the 3-point shooting. Maybe that team's picked a little differently. Maybe like Leitner's not on that team. Now you have to grab another guy from that era. It was like. Maybe Shaq's on it. Maybe who else was a good shooter from that era? Or maybe take Tim Hardaway, have the third point guard or something to match up with Chris Paul, something like that. Yeah, I don't think Leitner makes that team at that point. But
now we're comparing going backwards and making trades.
Yeah, we're picking a different team.
That's how much problem this team is causing.
I think you have to do that.
2012 Olympic team is causing major problems.
It's great.
Mr. Leitner, we appreciate that the sentiment of having a collegian, but we're in trouble here. We're in the 2012 team.
That's an awesome team, though. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah. The Barkley-Jordan combo, the fact that both of those guys were in their prime, I think would have helped. And Pippen, you just could have thrown on. I mean, at that point, he's still the best defensive perimeter guy of all time.
Right.
LeBron this year will have games that are just vintage Pippen defensive games.
We watched last night's game. Did you see any of that?
I didn't see last night, but I heard about it.
That was to me. It reminded me of Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, when we played, and they did it several times, in the NBA. But when we played Tony Kukoc, in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm. And they just murdered him.
Oh, yeah. They went after him.
Well, they had a whole thing, right? Because it was the GM's guy. They hated the GM.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and, and we had to win the game, of course, but they went out there and went at. So it's kind of like with LeBron, D-Wade,
with Lynn.
Chalmers. Yeah. They went at, it was like a statement.
Yeah. They're like, enough with Linsanity. We've had it.
They made their point.
Yeah. Tell me about the famous scrimmage that you guys had in I don't remember at what point it was in the Olympic process, but something Magic and Michael were on different teams, and then all of a sudden it got heated, and then it was, by all accounts, the greatest basketball game that's ever been played. Whose team were you on? Do you remember?
I think I was with Magic, I think it was East-West, I'm pretty sure it was pretty close to that.
So Jordan, Pippen, who was Barkley on? Was Barkley on Magic or MJ?
I'm going to say with Michael, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's footage of it. I think there's a documentary coming out soon.
They have a security camera.
Oh. It was in Monte Carlo. It was in Monte Carlo, I believe.
Way high up. So what happened? So Magic and Michael just start trash talking?
Yeah, a lot. But we had like a lackluster. We were training in Monte Carlo. The focus wasn't there.
You had a couple guys who probably enjoyed being in Monte Carlo, right?
So Chuck, I think, we got up the next morning. We were heading from there. We're going to Barcelona to check in for the Olympics. I think Chuck was like, we got to get a little edge going.
Yeah.
So we kind of divvied up. I think he might have even added a little something too before we got going. But Michael and Magic were going at it big time.
A lot of this is my league now.
Basically,
your time's done. Yeah.
Yeah. And then some.
Yeah. And then
back
it just
it
kept
up
going.
With baskets, and then a lot of trash talk. And and you said Michael was in the prime of his career.
Yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous. And I had seen Michael since high school, but it was just like physically, mentally, skill. I mean, he had everything going. It was easy. It was fun for him, and he was taunting, and he was he was just that much better than everybody. And Magic hadn't been at that level. And been away for a little bit. But here, no. He was still it.
Yeah.
And it was funny because, they're going at it. And Larry wasn't practicing much. His back was bothering him. And he was just on the sideline kind of smirking like, he's right. We're done. We had a great run. Leave it alone.
Yeah. So Michael's team won.
Yeah.
I think.
Did anybody get to shoot other than Magic and Michael?
I think Michael scored like 6 straight, and then the coach stopped the game, I think. I think it was getting too heated.
One little edge, we got the edge.
Yeah,
now,
got the edge.
Boom. And that Chuck Daly, what a great coach, great guy, but always knew exactly not only what button to push, but how far to go. And he just, man, I love that guy. He was such a nice guy.
So you came away from that whole experience thinking Michael is significantly the best player. Like there's nobody even kind of in his stratosphere, or did you feel like somebody was close?
No, I went in thinking that.
Right.
Or knowing that, and it just was confirmed.
It's ridiculous.
Reconfirmed.
Does it bother you when coming from that era, that when people are always like, especially with like somebody like Kobe, where they're like, Michael versus Kobe. Just watch the tapes. Like nobody, come on. Michael was the best. Like, why do we have to like try to figure out if somebody's approaching it.
Yeah, comparisons are tough, because it's even, when you brought up you named this Olympic team that's, probable team for 2012. The other thing is the evolution, which you just have to respect. The evolution of the athlete, the nutrition, the training, all the things that they're putting to use and making good use of, they're reaping the benefits. Like you had on Dave Cowens, right before me.
9-year career, basically.
And look at the size.
Yeah.
We were almost the same height, almost.
Yeah, true.
And he's matched up, right? So now, and he said, look at the difference. Look at me and Chris, we're almost the same size, and I'm playing Kareem. So Dave now, this guard.
Small forward? Yeah.
Point guard.
Sure.
So it's really hard to compare, but the evolution, you talk about Derrick Rose. Look at that guy. Russell Westbrook, the athletic. If they weren't playing basketball, they could go to the Olympics anyway.
Right.
What do you want to do? The hurdles, 400-yard dash.
Imagine if they played soccer.
What do you do defensively now in 2012? LeBron's on your calendar and you have to guard him.
Zone.
Yeah, basically.
Help. Zone.
Help.
Yeah, basically. I mean, you try, I love that too. The scouting puts all these, make it hard for him.
Yeah.
Don't give him anything easy.
Yeah. Make him work.
Get him out of his comfort zone. Where is that? Outside the arena somewhere?
Yeah.
You've been doing a bunch of games this year. Color. Who's the best team you've seen so far?
Oh, I like when you ask that question.
It's fresh in my mind is OKC.
Oh. Even after the performance that Miami laid down last night.
Yeah, who said that yesterday to us too?
Was it Kevin Love? It was Kevin Love.
I'm talking about the games I did.
Yeah.
So I had Miami in Denver early, and they lost. But I've been watching them. They're one of the. But I mean, OKC, Denver.
Yeah.
Historic night.
Oh, right.
Durant goes for 51.
Oh, that's right.
You did that game.
Westbrook goes for 40, and
that.
Ibaka gets a triple-double.
It was amazing.
So
it was a throwback game.
It was beautiful. It was unbelievable.
It was from the Mullin era.
Just want to sit there and be quiet and watch.
Well, Durant sometimes has box scores like what you used to have, where the 16 for 21, for 45 points. Like, hey, he doesn't even need 25 shots to get 50.
Incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
Can you get a quiet 51? Not really, but the guy, we're sitting courtside, me and Dave Pash, and there's 2 seconds on the shot clock. So he inbounds it, probably 30 feet, and the guy just hands it right back to him, and he shoots it like a free throw. Bing. Second half, he's coming across half. Now he's hot. And guy gives the boy shot. And Al Harrington, I'm like, why doesn't he have his hands up? What's he doing?
Yeah.
And I look, he's like 37 feet from the basket. I'm like, why would you have your hands up? He's not even getting ready yet. So it's almost like you have to guard him at half court. You got to start really not finding him, like locked in. You like deny him at half. That's how. The guy's got incredible range.
And that team athletically is so brutal. I mean, it's just
fast and they're committed.
Strong.
They've got great role players that accept their role. Harden's he's an all-star talent coming.
I thought he was an all-star.
Yeah.
I think for what he does for that team, he's got to be one of the best 12 players in the West.
But I got a chance to spend some time with Sam Presti before the game. Their GM,
the future Celtics GM, hopefully, maybe. I'm just a little frustrated right now.
And he made a point to say the way those guys work.
I saw it.
Durant.
I went to a practice last year, and you could see it in practice. They're doing the stupid drills where it's like 2-on-1 fast breaks, and they're heads down, and they're going 100%. And Presti said something interesting. He said, I'm probably spilling his dirty secrets, but he said when he scouts, he likes to go see the guys in practice because he feels like you can learn so much more about a player in practice than in games, which I thought was really interesting. I'd never thought of that because you see in practice, guys just farting around, he's jogging his way through drills. Probably somebody who's not going to have a good NBA career. But those guys were like, Durant's just like basketball. He doesn't give a crap about anything else. Doesn't seem.
Well, he's, the cliche, he's the first one in the gym, the last one to leave.
Yeah.
He said that's legit.
Yeah.
Those two, every day, the first one's there. And he said, it's really unique with those guys and Nick Collison as well. Those three are the ones that came over, that are left, that came from Seattle.
Right.
Yeah.
And they kind of, from the ground up, building that organization.
I still feel like I don't like their crunch time totally because it still feels to me they have the 4. I don't like the 5th guy who's out there usually because the Cephalosha doesn't worry me. Then if they play Perkins, they go big. I don't really like that because now Perkins and Ibaka, both of those guys can't score. You don't have to worry about them. It seems like if they could turn that Daquan Cook spot into somebody who could be out there in crunch time spotting up. Like I always think like Ray Allen would have been the perfect 5th guy for them. Ironic because he used to play for them, but somebody who Caron Butler, anybody who you can't leave that person open, and then they win the title, which will so be interesting to see if they make a move or not. Presti's notoriously cautious about messing with the team. I think the Perkins trade was the only one he made.
Cook is a knockdown shooter.
Yeah.
He just is.
I don't trust him. Do you trust him?
Somewhat inconsistent right now, especially right now. He's in a low, but he can get hot. To me, the real deal is Durant at the end of the game. He can be your Nowitzki.
Yes. Yeah.
Catch the ball on the nail, either the Tim Duncan post area, the elbows.
Yep.
And now he faces up, and what are you going to do?
Well, you know what you're going to do? You're going to pray that Russell Westbrook decides to shoot on that possession instead of having Durant do all that stuff.
Right. So you're going to
hey, Russell, you should shoot this
time.
Come
get him.
Yeah.
Come get him, and then he'll find, from their standpoint, maybe Cook's a good enough shooter. Look, we're only mid-season.
Yeah.
He's still kind of, he hasn't played with that starting unit for a while.
But this is my point. Like, it's a lot of pressure to put on Daquan Cook because I do feel like that's the spot that's going to determine some series that they play.
He doesn't have to make them all. He's got to make 1 or 2.
Maybe a couple.
Because Durant's going to get his 30. And to me, again, the focus being where Kevin Durant, where he catches the ball on the floor. That Memphis series, they kept pushing him out.
Oh yeah, he's like 30 feet from the basket.
And he's getting better at that. You see him fighting for position.
That's what's so tantalizing about this season and this playoff push. We're going to see whether or not they learn some of those lessons from last season, the maturation of all these guys playing together. I think it's going to be exciting.
That Dallas loss they were up like 16 with 4 minutes left or whatever. I mean, 199 out of 200 times the game's over, and for whatever reason it fell apart for them. But they were a lot closer last year than I think people think. For some reason, I still can't feel. I don't feel like I'm penciling them in the West for some reason.
Right now, I got them penned in.
Well, penned in.
Yeah, right now. Right now.
We talked a little bit yesterday about some of these. Simmons called them the old fart teams. Can't sleep on the Lakers. Can't sleep on the Spurs.
Although last night watching Oklahoma City is just so much more athletic than the Lakers. Like, I just think the Lakers have to win those 84-82 games to keep moving, and I don't think Oklahoma City can play a game like that. They're just too talented.
Yeah, when you pick a team.
Yeah.
So you got to pick a team, and then those other teams have a chance. Of course they do.
Yeah, right.
But if someone says to pick a team, that's who I would pick.
Yeah.
And then could I see the Lakers beat them? Yeah, I could. I could see that. I can see them getting pounded down low because of the front line.
I don't think Lakers can beat them. I think Dallas, if they can get their SH blank T together, because Oklahoma City, that's in their head now. I mean, you must have had teams where you're like, oh crap, we can't beat that team.
Yeah, no question, matchup-wise.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But to me, Oklahoma City, the one thing they have to get under control is their turnovers. It's defined. That's the thing they have to work on. Everything else is pretty well oiled.
Well, do you buy the
Dallas has a lot of. It's there, but there's a lot more things that they got to get Lamar back.
Back. They got to get him back in the country. Where's your head, Lamar?
But you know what I mean? That's So they got a lot more pieces.
Do you buy the Barkley thing about you can't win a title shooting jump shots? Because that's how Oklahoma City would have to win this title.
Well, they're a perimeter-based team, no question.
Yes.
Perimeter-oriented. But to a degree, so is Miami. To a degree.
When they didn't win last year.
Right, but now they made a shift.
Yep.
They're playing. Durant doesn't have to shoot jump shots. You can put him in the mid post, and that is a point in the paint.
Like the Nowitzki point, like foul line.
Yeah, he did it. Dallas won a championship. They're a perimeter-oriented team.
We were saying, Bucher was on yesterday. We were talking about whether the West is rock paper scissors to some degree. Every team has a team that they're going to beat or they can't beat. Like, I feel like if Memphis play, I don't care how well San Antonio is playing. Memphis is going to beat them if they play in a playoff series. There's just the matchup. I just think it's a bad matchup for San Antonio. And yet Memphis cannot beat Oklahoma City. And then maybe Oklahoma City can't beat Dallas. And then Dallas can't beat whoever. And it does feel like it's going to be one of those years. When you were there for the 99 strike season, the lockout season, you're in the Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
The Pacers were the preseason pick to win the East. You go against the 8 seed Knicks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just stunned, shocked, whatever. Like, do you feel like because of this shortened season, we could see something like that in this playoffs?
I don't think so. Like right now, OKC's 1, Denver's 8. That'd be a good matchup. I don't think that would be as shocking.
If Denver beat OKC?
Yeah.
I'd be kind of shocked by that. I guess if they had everybody healthy, maybe not, because Denver's been so banged up. But
the other thing, the surprising thing about that year with the Knicks was they acquired Latrell Sprewell.
Right.
So that was the wild card, really.
Yeah.
He had been, suspended, sitting in limbo, and they acquired him and made that run. So that was a little different situation. They were an 8 seed, but their talent was way better.
Well, that's
than
a great point. The trade deadline's 2 weeks from now. We don't know the composition of the
Lakers are going to get somebody good. They have that trade
I
exception's big enough for them to get a real player who can help them, I feel like. Were you in the 98 Pacers? You were, right? So 98, 99, 2000, those were good Pacers teams. And I still feel like the 98 Pacers gave the Bulls the most they've ever had to handle in that Jordan era, other than the year they lost when he came back from baseball. But, I mean, you were right there in that game. And then in 2000, that Lakers series was much tighter than people remember, I feel like.
Yeah, those
Shaq
three
fouls out in Game 4. Like
Yes,
they
that
probably should have won that game.
Much closer. Closer. Shaq fouled out. That was when Kobe really
ascended.
Yes,
he did his thing.
Yes, he had a few.
That's when I remember I called you after. I was like, "That's it, Kobe.
That was it.
He's coming on now."
You could see it. You could just. I was sitting on the bench and saying, "Wow, this is it."
Yeah.
He just took over. He had an incredible putback.
Oh yeah.
And then he just
So you look at those 3 years. Should that team have won a title?
I mean, the years we lost to the Bulls, who went on to win.
Barely.
The Knicks, who lost to San Antonio, I think.
Right.
We should have won that series. That was the.
You get the illegal 4-point play.
Great.
The continuation
what
4-point
a great play Jeff Van Gundy drew up. I'm still asking him every time I talk to him, I want to get that play. That is a
Get fouled, wait 4 seconds, shoot the 3.
I mean, he held that for the right time and just broke it out. Genius. You talk about a genius?
Yeah.
Jeff Van Gundy. But we should have won that series. But look.
Ewing was hurt in that series,
you know what,
too.
though? I think we won the next game, and we went home and lost at home. So,
yeah.
I mean, it evens out. And then, the Lakers in the finals. I mean, those two guys, Shaq and Kobe, at that point in time, were playing out of their mind. They were.
If you sneak out Game 4,
that was their first championship together.
Yes.
That was their first one.
They still had a little bit of, they almost blew that Blazers series. The Blazers basically missed 15 straight shots or whatever. It was, one of the biggest choke jobs.
But if you went back, I don't know, but I bet you it was one of Shaq's best finals. I mean, his numbers were astronomical.
Every year he was like 35-15 every year in the finals.
Yeah. He was like Wilt.
Yeah.
Seriously, it was a joke.
You know what's funny though? Smits kind of bugged him a little bit. Smits was like sneaky awesome offensively. Everybody hated playing him.
7'4", jump shooter.
He was good.
He went, Shaq didn't want to go out there. And then with that series too, Austin Crozier came on. He was a matchup nightmare for them. Jalen played really well. Reggie had a great finals that year.
Yeah,
he played great. Mark, but I don't know. They won 3 in a row. So to say we should have beat them, I don't know.
Yeah. Good. Last question, Golden State. You happy with where things are going there? I know you're always attached to that team. You feel like they're headed toward the right direction?
I love the fact they hired Mark Jackson. Love that.
I didn't think you would like that move.
Yeah, love that.
Being a St. John's graduate. I'm surprised.
I'm so happy he's there. They're lucky to have him. They've got some, tough decisions to make. Because they got some nice talent.
Yeah.
Does it fit? Does it win? I mean, they're exciting, and you see glimpses where you go, whoa, and then it's hard to maintain. And I'm not quite sure, because, you know, locally, we need a big guy, we need a big guy, we need a big guy. We just talked about teams proud. You get, you know, Dallas with Nowitzki. He's more of a perimeter guy. You get the right mix of guys. You're only going to deal with a few big guys.
Yeah.
You know, even with the Lakers now. Who are you really more concerned with on the Lakers when you get in the playoffs? Who's the biggest concern?
Right. 24, now
Kobe.
8.
Yeah,
Is he 24 or 8? 24.
And he's Kobe Bryant's such an incredible player. At this stage of his career, he's still a guy. And no offense to Powell, but he's carrying them. He gets them going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not, because those things, it's not like saying Kobe, now it's their turn. Like you said, Kobe, you saw him kind of take that team over against the Pacers. And it wasn't against Shaq. It's just like, whoa, this is the guy.
Yeah.
He's so good. Those guys can't do that because he keeps his level so high. You have to deal with big guys. But to me, if the guy's not a dominant big guy, there's another way to go at that. So I'm not sure. The Warriors, I think they're in good shape. They got new ownership. You know, there's some great enthusiasm. We'll see what kind of, you know, roster move, because culture change is the catchphrase now, right? Culture change. Mm-hmm. It's really, you know, the coach and the owner, the people. That's what the culture is. Mm-hmm. And then if you're going to change philosophically, basketball-wise, at some point you have to make some roster changes. Yeah. You can't take the same people and say we're different.
Chris Mullin, we never talk Big East, so we'll have to have you on again and discuss that.
Let's do that. I look forward to that.
The Big East, like, really? Just grabbing colleges from all over the country down.
No, we're just talking about the 80s Big East.
I know, that's what I grew up on.
We'll look it up and we'll talk about that.
Good luck with everything. Thank you.
Thanks, man. My pleasure. Thanks.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
What's the biggest event in February? The big game in Indy? Nope. Valentine's Day? Come on, let's get serious. It's February at Subway. That's right. Any regular footlong is a $5 footlong all day long, all month long. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. It doesn't matter when, because any time of day, any regular footlong is a $5 footlong. Just which subs would that be exactly? The bacon, egg, and cheese? Yep. Steak and cheese? Absolutely. Italian BMT? Oh, you better believe it. Look, we could sit here and do this all day, but how about you get to Subway instead and score your favorite footlong as a $5 footlong? But hurry, when the month ends, so does this delicious deal. Subway. Eat fresh.